Welcome to the Salty Investors episode number 67. It is Thursday, February 22nd. It's a pretty hot one. What about up there with you, Tim?
Yeah, it's steaming up again. I thought it's over. Summer's
Yeah,
over. Get- Getting a bit of cooler weather, but no, it's come back a little bit of vengeance. But hopefully
jumped
the
the
rain
gun.
stopped. Yeah,
Yeah, I think this weekend it's going to peak tomorrow, and I reckon I'm calling it. I'm calling tomorrow's the end of summer here.
nice.
We'll see. I think it's going to be 31 on the Gold Coast, which is it doesn't get that much hotter down here because you're close to the water.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, anyway, what do you got for us this week with salt, Tim? Start us off.
I just saw a UK video of the TV license police going door to door asking for payment. I thought surely this is a joke, but in the UK it costs you
Uh,
£159 for a colour TV or £53 for a black and white TV. And if you're blind, you get a 50% discount. Not paying for a TV license can lead you to $1,000 fine. That's if you're caught catching you're caught catching BBC or ITV. It's nearly impossible to enforce, so only the law-abiding pay for this tax. Whitlam
yeah.
abolished this tax in the 1970s in Australia, forking the cost of the ABC onto every taxpayer. Surely a fairer system is to go back to TV licenses, you know, and for those who like the ABC, pay for it. Or are they worried that ABC viewers are not law abiding, so the TV license won't work? Have you heard of a TV license before?
Yeah, well, I lived in Japan. Let me tell you about the NHK man who comes
Okay.
around to your door. And I was told by Japanese people, just don't answer the door. And that's what they do. They just don't answer. I mean, Japanese are very non-confrontational if they can
Uh-huh.
help it. So and yeah, it's just you just don't answer the door. You have a look out the window. It's the NHK man. He's got a fucking little thing on his shirt, so you know who it is. He's got a clipboard. Yeah, he just yeah. Sorry. I actually did open the door once, and I told him I didn't have a TV. Um, I mean, and
Solved.
that was
Yeah.
yeah, that was the last place I lived in the south of Japan. I lived there for 6 years,
Mhm.
and I only saw him once and told him I didn't have a TV. And he may have come back because in Japan, see, everyone sort of assumes no one is. It's kind of weird to live on your own,
Okay.
unless you're a university student or something.
Uh-huh.
So that's why, yeah. And so they probably come around the daytime when I'm at work anyway. So
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, just ignore the NHK man. But I mean, look, like if you want to watch Foxtel in Australia, and you get Sky News, and you get, yeah, you can pick your packages. You can get sports, and you can get movies, you can get everything. You can get all your crappy TV shows, the horrible whores of San Francisco, or whatever you want. You can get all that. Um, yeah, why not for the ABC?
Yeah.
You know, well, I think the answer is that they probably wouldn't be able to get the billion or billion and then some for all the crap they want to put on TV, and there's a lot of crap there.
Yeah. So I don't know. So what are you salty about this week?
Well, Allegra Spender has come up with a fantastic plan. Allegra Spender tweeted out that Australians spend twice as much on fuel as our US and EU counterparts because we don't have a fuel efficiency standard in place. That's the reason, apparently. The proposed fuel efficiency standards is one of the most important policy levers we have to permanently reduce our cost of living. Yeah, I don't think, when you're subject to oil prices, there's nothing permanent about it. You're at the whim of oil prices. But anyway, let me give you another policy lever, big spender. It's called excise tax. Now, once you factor in the GST on excise, it comes to about 30% of your fuel bill at current prices. And the best part is you don't need to come up with some bullshit about fuel efficiency standards and try and stop people driving the cars they want to drive. All you do is get out a red pen and go, no more excise. But as you know, Tim, that would mean that the government would have to cut some spending somewhere, and there are no political parties anymore that even talk about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you got the easy solution there. You want to help people out. Well, you
Mm.
just cut the
Simple.
excise. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just love it how
Hey,
they
do,
say,
do it in stages. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's basically 50 cents now. Um, the excise, I think it's going up to 49.6 cents the end of this month. Or it might be this week, actually. So, I mean, just cut it in stages, cut 15 cents, 15 cents, 15, do it over 3 years, do away with it.
Yeah, well,
Come
that's
up
what
with some spending cuts.
Well, that's what they do for junkies. You don't want them going cold turkey on it. So, just take a little bit off each year.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
yeah, but, you know, the fuel efficiency standards, obviously, they're saying, they're trying to lock in savings for people. That's just the biggest load of junk, like if people, they're treating people like idiots, oh, yeah, you want to buy a more fuel efficient car? Well, it's going to cost you more up front.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
So,
the thing.
yeah.
I mean, it's the same with all these policies, these sort of climate measures, is that it's fine if you affluent because yeah, you could. I mean, I saw that idiot Miles today from Queensland say he's going to give Queenslanders $4,000 subsidy to have a solar battery in your garage,
Okay.
right? I don't know how much they cost. Maybe they cost double that or
Yeah.
10 grand or something. I don't know,
Mm.
but yeah, it's just like uh, none of it. It's all aimed at people who can afford it. Yeah, I mean, how
Who's
many
got
people can afford a new car every 3 years? I mean, the poorest people in society are the ones who are going to lose out. They want to tax your meat. Now they came out. I don't know if you saw Palaszczuk came out. Um, Not Palaszczuk. What's her name? The environment minister, Labor environment minister. Um, Blonde haired. Husband is a druggo, convicted drug dealer.
I
What's his
don't
name?
know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she came out with a policy about, oh, well, she said something like so many hundreds of thousands of clothing garments go into
Oh,
landfill every
yes.
year.
Yep.
So they're toying with a tax on fashion. It's like, I thought, oh, well, that's very anti-woman. But anyway,
Hmm.
I mean, they just can't help themselves. Every aspect of your life, like you've got to eat less meat. You can't wear as many clothes. You can't drive the car you want to drive. I mean, it's just it. I mean, I think people at some point are going to say, "Fuck this, piss off."
I reckon.
Yeah.
Accelerate it. Don't fight it, Scott.
Well,
Encourage
just
them.
accelerate it and just crater everything so
Yeah,
that when
yeah.
we can pick up
Well,
stocks at penny on the dollar.
it's worked in Argentina, things are
Yeah.
so I don't know how bad things have got to get before people start going, oh, well, I've got to feed and clothe my kids to send them to school. That's costs money,
Mm.
like magical rainbows. So I don't know. Keep it going. So yeah, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
I think they'll work it out. People will work it out. They'll get smart enough at some stage here and they'll do the right thing, I
Eventually.
think.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I had a couple of charts to sort of a follow up from last week. I mean, we talked about how energy was the inverse of
Yeah.
tech, basically. So this is getting actually, if you have a look at the gap between tech and energy, it's never been wider. It's the widest on
Mm.
record. Although tech is not quite as high as it was in 2000, energy is actually lower than it was
Oh,
significantly
yes.
lower than it was. So that gap there is bigger than that gap. Um, and you can see what happened subsequently, but it doesn't. I mean, and you remember this boom here in Australia, gold
Mm.
took off. We had
Gas.
Paladin and all this
Yep.
gas and everything just took off.
Mm.
Big boom. I mean, and we all know the story about resources because no
Uh,
one wants to invest in it because it's on the nose, but sort of reality's starting to kick in certain places, and like Germany, we like they've spent so much money on a renewables economy, and they haven't got much to show for it. And of course, stupid idiots in Australia were just trying to follow them down the same path. But yeah, I mean, at some point that's got to turn around, or does it, Tim? Or does it? Is it a new paradigm? Is this time different? I don't know.
well, nuclear energy's coming to save us all. So I don't know,
Mm.
like there's all these little things that could, you know, make that go on for longer than you think.
Solar freaking roadways.
Yeah, yeah. But like that divergence is pretty nasty. But
Yeah.
I'm still twiddling my thumbs. I know about it and I can see it, but I'm like, well, what can I do?
Mm.
I've only got two names, you know.
Well, that's what I
So,
was thinking today. Tim, you better start bringing the fucking energy names because we're going to
okay.
get caught out here.
Yeah, well, there is two oil producers, high royalty type, low capital intensive, the sort of stuff that I like.
Yeah.
But um, you sort of think you got to pick them in a cycle. But maybe we are in the cycle. We just don't realize it enough that
Mm.
um, we don't really need a downturn to sort of buy them. Maybe we should be buying them now. Well, Warren's buying them. So what am I doing?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
so yeah,
Yeah, I sent you something earlier in the week. He's buying more Occidental, wasn't he, or something?
yes, yep.
Yeah.
So um, he's been around a fair bit. sort of seen a few cycles. So
Yeah.
maybe he's seeing him, and I'm not seeing that fat pitch there. I don't know what's wrong with me, but maybe think I'm too smart for this. But I don't know. I still think he's probably onto something here. Mm.
Yeah. And just another, again, sort of we talked last week about GMO's study on concentration, and
Yeah.
we're pretty much there again. Top 10% of, I mean, there's some pretty, have a look where the peaks are. 1930,
Oh, that must be the wild time.
2029,
A little bit rough after that, but
2000,
yeah.
2000, and here we are again. Not
Yep.
very auspicious occasions. That one in there, that's the nasty bear market of 74. That's
Ooh.
where the stock market got cut in half. Of course, 3 data points don't make
No.
anything, but it's just interesting to look at. I mean, uh, I don't, I don't know which way to go, but these things generally can't go on indefinitely. But
Or is this a
we
coping
sh-
mechanism because you're not in the top 10%?
yeah,
You know.
that's right. It is a coping mechanism. I'm looking at that top 10. You can't stay in there. You can't, if something's got to give.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be. Has Nvidia reported yet? Maybe it's going to be Nvidia.
Next day or so or something. But yeah, I think it's going to be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit of a surprise. I think it's going to be the upside, but the market's
right.
not thinking that. But yeah, they're
Because
doing.
everybody's still in love with AI, which I think it'll be one of those things that I think, I am sort of optimistic about AI, but it'll be one of those things that just gets so overdone, and then we'll go, oh, actually, it's not as amazing, and no, not everybody's going to lose their job to AI, and
Yeah.
we'll all settle down at some point. But I feel like that can drive it a little bit longer, at least if Nvidia keeps coming out with
Yeah.
good
Well, it's
results.
Terry Smith calls it a secular tailwind, and you're
Yeah,
fighting that. Those narratives can go longer, like you're saying. They go longer than you
yeah,
think. We all think, oh, it's all blowing over by now, but I think it's got a little bit more legs in it. But I don't know. But I've been wrong at Nvidia how many times now? Like so many times. The crypto boom and all these other things. The graphical interfaces in freaking self-driving cars, and now it's got the AI freaking tailwind. Like,
yeah,
uh, there's a lot of growth
yeah.
going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we got for that this week. Let's get on to Singapore Exchange.
Yeah, so last couple of weeks we did the Mexico exchange, so I thought I'd have a quick look at the Singapore exchange. Like all exchanges
Mm.
around the world, it has characteristics that enable a sustained compatible advantage due to high levels of regulation. Let's look at the fundamentals. Shares outstanding are stable. On the PE basis, it's never been cheaper in the last 6 years. On a price to free cash flow basis, it's fairly mid-priced. Return on invested capital and margins are high and stable, which is great. Growth has been weak, and it looks like it's getting weaker in the last 3 years, which is a bit of a concern. Dividend is 3.3% with a large payout ratio, 60%. Interest coverage is about 87, so great. Let's flip over to the balance sheet and cash flow. We see a net debt of negative 250 billion, so heaps of cash.
Mm.
Um, Free cash flow is higher than it was in 2019, but still well below the COVID years. All round, not too bad, except for the low growth. Digging a bit further, it looks like trading volume has moved to other exchanges for the Asian equities.
Mm.
So I can't see a growth story going forward. I'm not a high growth person, but this seems to be a bit concerning. If
Mm.
we're generous with 4% growth into this headwind, we're looking at a price to free cash flow of 8, but currently it's 20. Even if I
Mm.
bump the growth to 5%, I'm still looking at a 50% reduction. Capital allocation and margins are great, but we still need the business to be able to reallocate that capital internally for compounding
Right.
returns.
Yeah.
To me, it seems
Yeah.
hard for even to be a takeover target because of the political and regulatory issues. So no premium there in my book. Maybe I'm being
Mm.
a bit too harsh, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a good. It's a good point. I mean, you look at the returns on equity, returns on invested cap, and you go, "Yeah, awesome," but they're paying 60% of it out.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't. So I don't really know. Like, are you competing? Are people trading Chinese equities on the Singapore Exchange? And if they are, how much? And like,
Yeah. But all
or are
these
they
like
playing?
little island countries near them, like Indonesia and stuff, they're getting their own
Yeah,
platforms and stuff like that. And so instead of the volume coming through Singapore, um, it's going through other areas at the moment, and you can
yeah,
see those growth numbers have been terrible. Like
yeah,
you, you're looking at a pretty terrible company when you're looking at 5-year revenue growth of 5%. Like, and then they're not juicing it. Like, what are they doing with
mm,
the extra money here? Like, it's not even going into share buybacks. It's just going into the payout ratio, and the payout ratio has actually got better. It was like 80%, in the
oh,
last.
really?
So
Uh,
all they're doing is just paying it out in dividends, but that's not a way to keep a company going. You need to be, buying something else to tag along that fits in with the company to get some growth. Like, I don't want to be paying tax on 3.3%, that's just, a
yeah, yeah,
bit
yeah.
low.
It's the problem, isn't it? I mean, I guess I don't know. Did you read anything about management discussion, MD&A?
Oh, it's just quiet.
Uh,
It's like, what do you,
like they are they talking about growth opportunities or
nah,
nothing? No.
it's just
Yeah.
little things, and Singapore's a tiny country.
Mm.
So, you know, I think a lot of the country there actually invest in stocks and stuff like that. But, it's still only, what, a couple of million people live there. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
potential for growth there when you're sort of constrained in that country is sort of limited. And like, there's only so many Bitcoin ETFs and everything you can float on the exchange, before you sort of, flood the market a little bit here. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It just seems I
Yeah.
can't see
So,
where.
so then it just becomes it becomes sort of like a cyclical in the sense that you it'll do well in years where there's some kind of boom and mad trading volumes going on because of something,
Yeah,
like
everyone's locked at
whatever
home.
that will be. There's yeah. Oh,
It's
so
a
is that
stalwart. If
yeah,
Peter Lynch, stalwart. So yeah, I don't know how you're
yeah.
gonna, turn this into something that's decent. So
Mm.
I don't know. I can't even, what's the escape? What's the catalyst here? I can't see it, but sometimes I'm blind to it. Let me know if somebody else sees it.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, I told Jim the story more
yeah,
than 20 years ago when I was analyzing the ASX and went down, talked to the CFO and just, what's the thing going to be? Like, is it going to be derivatives? Oh, I don't know. It's just there was nothing I couldn't.
I know.
I,
Yeah,
I thought it's a good company, great margins, good profitability, and I just can't find any reasons for it to grow. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. But when I don't understand it, it just becomes a pass. Like I'm
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
I
Yep.
don't have to understand it. I've got another, 20 or so to look
Yeah.
at.
You
Um,
don't have to swing at every pitch.
yep.
Just let it go. Yep.
But yeah, as long as you've got some story and you're going, well, I have looked at it and this is what I came up with, and you know, I'm open to criticism. I'd love a little bit of criticism, a little constructive criticism. Let me know where I'm missing here if anybody knows. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe.
There you go, folks. There's the challenge. Come and tell Tim he's wrong about the Singapore Exchange and tell us where they're going to smash it out of the park. There you go. And we will see you next week.